Hi, and welcome to another video by Jimthecarguy. Today we're working on you don't see many of these in my shop. It's a 2013, it's the Mercedes. It's, as you can see, it's the Mercedes SUV. Okay, just put it right over here. Yeah, on the floor right there. Thank you. Sorry about that. It is the Mercedes, it's the G63, and like I say, you don't see many of these in my shop, but this one's here because we've got to do front brakes on it. We're going to be changing the brakes, we're going to be changing the sensors, and we're also going to be changing the rotors. Anybody who knows about these Mercedes knows that the rotors have such a tremendous amount of wear on them that you really can't change the brake pads without changing the rotors. I did do the one side already. I did the driver's side. I'm going to go around to the passenger side now, and I'm going to take you through it step by step and show you exactly how to do it. All right, so let's get up there. I'm going to show you what to do. Okay, so this is the driver's side. Obviously, we did change the rotors. We put new rotors on it. What we'll basically do is we just take out the brake pads here. We have to push these pins all the way through right here, so we can slide the pins out through the back and remove the brake pads. Once we have the pads out, we take the caliper, locate the caliper off to the side, and then we unscrew the rotor right here, which has the bolt holding it in. Remove the rotor and then reassemble. So let's go around the other side, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do it step by step. Okay, I hope the lighting is a little bit better. I did get some more lighting so I could show you a little clearer what's going on. First thing we're going to do is we're going to pry the brake pads back into the bore so that the pads can fit over the top of the rotor. Because as you can see, I don't know if you can see it in the picture, but there's a significant lip right on here. So, all right, so let's get started on it. We'll go from there. First thing we're going to do is you just get in here and you pry the brake pad back a little bit, just so we can get the caliper and the brake pads out. I might add, this truck is kind of a pain in the rear end to set up on the lift. I guess anybody in the business knows what I'm talking about. There's very little area down here on which to put your lift, and then when you do set the lift up, the truck is very unstable because you got to get it by the center, and it's a very heavy truck, so we're going to be real careful with it. Alright, so we're just going to pry these shoes back all the way in, and then we're going to take those pins out right here. Now, I want to point out that this in the back right here, this is the indicator for the brakes, that when the brakes wear down, they come in contact with it. This is a little clip right here that we need to lift up, and then pull this piece here out. So you just hook it with a screw, lift it up, and you can pull the sensor out like this. And then this we're going to throw away, because whenever you do brakes on a Mercedes, you always replace the sensor with a new one. Alright, so we're going to leave that right there for now. What we're going to do next is we're going to come in here, we're just going to tap out these pins. Both top and bottom. And just pull the pins through. Sometimes they stick and you got to play around with it to get them out. We're just going to relocate this to the side for now. We are going to need to use these over again. Same thing on the top right here. We're going to push that pin out like that. We'll take this out. Now, I want to point this out. This clip only goes on one way. You see how this is much higher, and this is actually, the distance here is shorter. So we need to make sure it goes back on the same way that it came off. So either you mark it or you just remember which direction it was. All right, next thing we're going to do is in the back over here, there's I think it's a 13mm bolt nut. We're going to take that off so we can get the pads out. Now the other side It was a little bit of a pain in the rear end getting this out. It didn't come out so easily, so leave the nut on it and just tap it very lightly just to get it to move. Like that. And then we'll just take this off. And this pulls right out. Like that. Don't throw it away. We're going to need to use this over again. Now we'll take our brake pads out. Same thing with this side. Yeah, this is a little tight too, so we're just going to pry it back so we can get it past that lip on the rotor. And then once we get it pried back far enough, take the pad out. All right, next thing. Now this is for the for that sensor. We don't need to remove that. We're going to leave that there. I am going to show you in the back the bolts you're going to need to take out. But before we go any further, we're going to loosen up this bolt right in here. They are pretty tight, so what I usually do is just stick a screwdriver in here just to keep it from turning, and just keep pressure on it, and you'll feel it snap loose. And then once you snap it loose, it comes right out. So we can take this out then. We're going to leave that on temporarily. Now up in the back, I'm going to bring you in, I'm going to show you. Up in the back here, these bolts down here, these are, see this? See this bolt here? It's a 19 millimeter. It's a little bit of a problem getting in there with a socket, just because of the way that this is rounded up here. You can't get in here with a socket straight in. So we're going to use a box. Sorry about that. As long as they're not coming here, we're okay. So we're gonna take them out with just a wrench. The same thing we're gonna do down on the bottom right here. You see this one here? We can't get in there because of the angle of the housing right there. See how it's rounded? You just can't get in there with the socket and hold it straight. So I'm sure they make a special tool for it, but we're not going to use it. We're just going to grab a 19 millimeter wrench, and we're going to take these out with a 19 millimeter wrench. Okay. Now, remember I told you this truck is very unstable on the lift. When you rock on it, when you pull on these things, it really rocks pretty badly. So we're going to be real careful with this. We're going to put a 19 millimeter on here. And now this is really tight. The other side I had a bad time getting this out of here. But what I normally do is go in here with a wrench, take a second wrench. I don't know if you can see this. Take a second wrench, put it over the top like this. And then you just give it a pull. There's a lot of action out there today. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go down underneath the bottom here. We're going to do the exact same thing on the other bolt down here. Put your wrench on here like this. Now we'll just break this one loose again. You double wrenching it like this. Gives you a little more leverage to get it loosened up. And then once you have them broken loose, you can just take it totally out. Same thing on the top. Take the caliper, put it off to the side like this for now, and then we're going to remove this rotor. Now remember, we loosened that bolt up already. We're just going to take it out. And this comes off pretty easy. Just give it a couple of taps. Sorry about that. Be right back. After we got that rotor off, we're going to clean up this part right in here where the new rotor is going to actually sit on it, because you have a little bit of rust in here and we don't want to take a chance with any kind of pulsating pedal. So 2 ways you can do it. You can get in here with a tool like this just to clean it up a little bit, or you can get in there with a razor blade, whatever you have. I'm going to use that tool. So let me clean that up, and then we're going to come back and we'll put it back together. As you can see, these bolts don't even come out of the housing here. They hit into the to the side right here, kind of a tight squeeze. So we're not even going to try to get them out. We're just going to leave them in there for now. So, all right, let me clean this up and then we'll come right back. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to take our rotor and put it back up here and put it back on the way we took it off. What I normally do is I'll screw a bolt in there also, just to make sure everything is centered perfectly. And we're going to put our piece in here, that Torx that we previously took out, and tighten that up. Tighten that up later, but for now we're just going to leave it like that. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to put our caliper back on that we previously took off. We're going to lay it over the top like this, and then we're going to catch those bolts in the back that we previously removed. You want to catch both of them by hand before you tighten them up all the way. Oops, sorry about that. Just got a text, and that's Mrs. Jimthecarguy calling. We're going to catch both of the bolts and screw them in as far as we can by hand before we do anything further. Tighten them up as far as we can. Sorry about that noise out there. They're paving the street out there today, as you can hear. Geez, I think we're going to have to take a break and come back. It's getting too noisy out there. see how it goes. Caliper nice and tight. I am going to take a break. I got to talk to Mrs. Jimthecarguy. Come right back. Okay, let's give it a try again. Hopefully that noise is not going to be too bad. All right, we did take that sensor. We pulled the sensor out. It just pulls right straight out of there, and we can just throw it away. We don't need it. The new sensor slides right in, and then we're going to put the brake pad back in there. Now, before you put the pads in, you want to lubricate everything that the pad touches. Now remember, this one is on the outside right here, so we're just going to put this in on the outside, and we'll push it back down, and we're just going to leave this in here temporarily for now. We're not going to go any further with this one here. We're going to keep this off to the side. Now we're going to put our other pad in there. Now, I just want to point out, if you're trying to put your, I'm not going to pick the camera up, my hands are real dirty, but if you're trying to get your pad in there and it doesn't fit, just push the pistons back in very lightly with a screwdriver. They push right back in. It's not a big deal. We're going to do the same thing. Some lube wherever the brake pad touches. And then we're going to put the pad right back in here. Slide it in. Just like that for now. Now we're going to take our 2 pins that we previously had in there. We're just going to slide it in just a little bit, just to catch the inner pad. Same thing here, just to catch the inner brake pad. And now we're going to put our clip up on top, the anti-rattle clip. Remember, smaller part was facing the top. I'm sure you remember that. Push your pins through. And you push it through until it comes into contact with the other pad. And we'll push it in until it goes right up into gear. We're just gonna tap it in very lightly, not all the way yet. Just tap it in a little bit. We're gonna do the same thing down on the bottom, but this one we have to push this clip down and then push the clip, the lock pin in place. And you just hold it in place and give it a little bit of a tap. If it doesn't go right away, don't force it. You don't want to break anything. Just tap it in there. And you may have to move your clip. And you can tap it in all the way. I'll show you how. Now, if you don't have this hammer with a point on it, you can get in there with your punch, put it back up in the top right here, just tap it, and it goes right in. Same thing here. Make sure they're in. All right? All right, so that's all tight. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our clip. We're going to put it right back through that shield where we previously removed it from. And then we're going to take it, push it in, and we're going to listen for it to snap in place. It snapped in place. So, let me just show you one more thing you want to do. Before you do anything, you want to make sure you tighten this up the rest of the way. That bolt that's previously in here just to hold it in place. And the way you do that is just put a screwdriver in here, just to lock it in place, and then snug it down. I think this one calls for, what I'm remembering, 25 or 35 Newton meters. All right, and that's it. We can take this out because now we're done with that bolt. And I'm going to bring you in and we're going to talk about it. Get my gloves off. Okay. So, we put our new rotor on. We cleaned up the face in here where the rotor went. We made sure the bolts lined up, and we tightened up this Torx bit right here. We tightened up the 2 caliper hold downs in the top here, those 19 millimeters. We tightened them up. We put our brake pads in, and make sure your pin slides underneath that little clip right there. We pushed the pin all the way in, and we made sure it was flush in here, which it is. Same thing on the bottom right here is flush. We made sure our pin is through here the way it's supposed to be. Our sensor is pushed back in here. The wire is tucked under, and it's snapped in all the way here. Lastly, we're going to make sure that that bolt is back through here and tightened up just the way it's supposed to be. That's it. We're all set. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to pump the brake pedal up, and then we're going to take it out and make sure we did a good job. All right, like always, thanks for watching. Any questions or comments, you drop me a line. I'll be more than happy to talk to you about anything. As always, see you on the next one.